Well, it's amazing to see so many people all together again, and we've had a fantastic day. I couldn't believe that the weather got even nicer as the day went on. It's been just a fantastic weekend for us. Certainly we got very lucky, and it seems that everyone's been having a wonderful, wonderful time. For those of you that attended the seminars and the lectures this morning, I managed to catch a few of them myself. I thought they were absolutely fascinating, and I hope that you really enjoyed it as well as our lunchtime speaker. So I'm Sian Mooney. I'm Dean of the O'Neill School of Public and Environmental Affairs, and it's my great pleasure to welcome everyone to this reception and celebration for 50 years of the O'Neill School. And doesn't it look good for 50 years? It's now the #1 ranked school of its kind in the country, according to US News and World Report, and I think that that's an amazing achievement in only 50 years. So we have so many faculty, students, alumni, staff, and friends here today. And it's a real testament, I think, to the passion that people feel about our school, that you would make this such a point to join us and support this milestone celebration. And I've spoken to perhaps not everybody here in this room, but certainly many of you here in this room over the last couple of days, and I can't believe how many people came from so far to come and celebrate with us. I mean, so many different states. Thank you all so much for making that journey to come back and think about your time and hopefully the good times that you had when you were here, and to connect with some old friends. So the O'Neill School has accomplished so much over the last 50 years, and we're going to get a glimpse of that in just a minute. But I wanted to take a second to take you back to our very beginnings, the beginning of the school, to the very seed of an idea that would grow into what we've become today. So the O'Neill School was initially conceived in a science advisory meeting in the mid-1960s. Thomas Brock, Linton Caldwell, and Richard Curtis, they were professors in bacteriology, government, and physics, respectively. Kind of a strange crew to be together. But they presented a preliminary proposal for the creation on a center for the study of the human environment. And the proposed center would bring together existing disciplines on campus with a focus on interactions between people and the environment. And here's a quote from the proposal. "Just as oceanography is an integrating science in which the physical, biological, and social sciences are all applied to the marine environment, the Center for the Study of the Human Environment would serve as a framework for a similar emphasis on human environment." So, great idea, but unfortunately the proposal got shelved for a few years as IU underwent some administrative changes. But in the early 1970s, there was a real push to make IU the university that was relevant to solving the problems of the real world. And then President Ryan championed the idea, and the Board of Trustees approved this idea of our school, the School of Public and Environmental Affairs, and it was also then later approved by the Indiana Commission on Higher Education. So the school was founded in 1972. And during the 40th anniversary celebration, our founding dean, Chuck Bonser, who unfortunately cannot be with us this evening, but I did go visit him a couple of weeks ago, and he sends his best to everybody. He said in our 40th anniversary that government at all levels required major surgery and that new blood to carry it out. And the School of Public and Environmental Affairs was Indiana University's answer to those concerns. So we performed admirably during the first 50 years as our impact has been felt throughout the university, Indiana, the country, and actually the world. Our faculty are world-renowned researchers known for their innovation and leadership. We've had a Nobel Prize winner, Elinor Ostrom, who's been roaming the halls. and the groundbreaking work that's been conducted on both our Bloomington and Indianapolis campuses makes news on nearly a daily basis. Most importantly, our graduates have gone on to be leaders. So that's clearly many of you here in the room. So leaders at every level of the public, private, and academic sectors. And the O'Neill School's influence continues to spread. I'm incredibly proud of everything that the O'Neill School has accomplished over the past 50 years. And I can feel the love for this school in this room right now, and I've definitely felt it all today and yesterday as well. The outpouring has just been amazing. I want to acknowledge a couple of special people. Well, actually, there are many special people in the room today, but I want to draw attention to a few people here. We have some people that, or I believe we have them in the room, that were connected to those very, very early roots. We have Mrs. Pat Ryan. Can you stand up? Thank you so much. We owe your husband a really great debt of gratitude, and to you too, so thank you so much. We also have, I believe, do we have Catherine Bonser-Neal and Andrew Bonser here as well? Oh, yes. Welcome, and I'm so happy that you can join us on behalf of your father and also yourselves. It's really wonderful to see you both here. Thank you so much. So let's take a couple of minutes to look back on our first half century, some of the milestones that have helped us to reach the heights that we find ourselves at today. And so we're going to show a video which looks back on a retrospective of 50 years.
On the afternoon of January 14, 1972, Indiana University announced the establishment of a force that would change the world. A School of Public and Environmental Affairs for Indiana University was approved here today by the Indiana Commission for Higher Education, read a news release. It will have primarily a problem-solving, public service, and interdisciplinary character. President John Ryan turned to Chuck Bonser, the Associate Dean of the IU School of Business, to serve as the first Dean of SPIA, and on April 1, 1972, Bonser officially took over the role. Charles Wise was appointed as the first faculty member, and the school found its administrative home in the Poplars Research and Conference Center. In September 1972, SPIA welcomed its first students on 5 IU campuses, offering a Master of Public Affairs degree, a bachelor's degree, and a 2-year associate degree aimed at professionals. The school quickly grew. On September 25, 1978, in Indianapolis, ground was broken on a 4-story building that would house the IU School of Business and SPIA. The next year, the IU Executive Education Program in SPIA was founded with offices on both the Bloomington and Indianapolis campuses. In 1980, NASPA, the accrediting body for public affairs programs, recognized SPIA's MPA program as a model graduate program for similar schools around the country. During the summer of 1982, SPIA in Bloomington moved into its new home on 10th Street, a 4-story facility which featured a courtyard, an underground library, and hanging gardens on the terrace of each level. A. James Barnes took over as dean in 1988, and under his leadership, SPIA was selected as the Midwestern Regional Center for the U.S. Department of Energy's National Institute for Global Environmental Change to address the growing discussion of climate change. The school flexed its international muscle in 1994 when USAID awarded a 5-year, $5 million collaborative agreement to SPIA, featuring Charles Wise as the project director, to assist the Parliament of Ukraine in developing a more democratic and effective parliament. By the time SPIA celebrated its 25th anniversary, it included more than 100 full-time faculty, 600 graduate students, and 1,600 undergraduate students, making it the largest school of its kind. Barnes stepped down in 2000, and Astrid Murgett was named the 3rd dean. 2 years later, SPIA was ranked number 3 in the country by U.S. News & World Report in its ranking of America's best graduate schools. In 2008, John D. Graham was named the school's 4th dean. He quickly established a Dean's Council and expanded SPIA's overseas education programs. The whole world noticed SPIA in 2009 when Professor Elinor Ostrom became the first woman honored with the Nobel Prize in Economic Sciences. In March 2014, IU alum Paul O'Neill gifted $3 million to the school. The gift partially funded a new graduate center, which was a 3-story structure that changed the face of SPIA. The school reached a major milestone in 2016 when U.S. News & World Report's ranking of the best graduate schools listed SPIA's MPA program in the top spot. 3 years later, SPIA was renamed the Paul H. O'Neill School of Public and Environmental Affairs in recognition of O'Neill's career in the private and public sectors, as well as a $30 million gift to support programming in the school. In 2019, Sean Mooney, Arizona State Associate Dean for Interdisciplinary Programs and Initiatives, was appointed the 5th Dean of O'Neill. She led the school through the turbulent COVID-19 pandemic while helping the O'Neill School maintain its #1 U.S. News & World Report ranking. In the 2023 rankings, O'Neill's programs in environmental policy and management, nonprofit management, and public finance and budgeting all ranked #1, and the nonprofit management program based in Indianapolis ranked 3rd. During its 50 years, the O'Neill School has become one of the most respected institutions in the nation and the world. Its reputation has been built on stable leadership, visionary faculty, and driven students who have taken the lessons learned in the classroom and applied them to solve complex problems to make a difference for the greater good.
I just want to thank our marketing and communications team for that really hard work in putting that video together. Thank all of you. That was really fantastic. It's the first time I've seen that. I hope it's available on the web. Thank you. Well, so there were a lot of great faces and memories in that video, not least of whom was Professor Emeritus Charles Wise. So Professor Wise was a true pioneer in our school. He was administrative assistant to President John Ryan when he was tasked with helping to launch what would become now the O'Neill School. He was the very first faculty member that was hired, and he served so many roles at the O'Neill School during his 34 years as an active faculty member. He was Associate Dean, Director of Graduate Programs in Public Affairs, Director of Undergraduate Programs in Public Affairs, and when he retired from IU in 2001, he retired from IU. I'm not really sure he absolutely retired, because then he went on to be founding director of the John Glenn School of Public Affairs at The Ohio State University, which currently has a dean, Trevor Brown, that is also an O'Neill alum. So Professor Wise also served as the director, as we heard, of the Parliamentary Development Project for Ukraine for 19 years, a program designed to help develop democracy in the Parliament of Ukraine that was funded by U.S. Agency for International Development. He is an internationally recognized expert in public management, public organizations, public law, and he's presented at conferences for leaders absolutely around the world. Few people know more about the O'Neill School and all it has meant to Indiana University and the world over the past 50 years. So please join me in welcoming Professor Emeritus Charles Wise.
Well, thank you, Dean, for an overly generous introduction there. Well, it's really quite an experience for me to come back and see all of this. A lot of people have worked a lot of years to make this such a great success. But I have to tell you, at the beginning, the decision to create SPIA was a very audacious decision. I say that for a number of reasons. One is that IU was nowhere in the field of public administration and public affairs. There wasn't any program here. The programs of national note were on the East and West Coasts. Nobody had ever heard of us. In addition to that, a lot of people thought we were crazy to try to start such a school in the state of Indiana. You know, Indiana still had the largest patronage system in the United States. It was the only state in the United States that did not have a law permitting city management. So a lot of people thought, okay, this will be a very short-lived endeavor. I had those thoughts once in a while, I have to tell you. We were in trouble. Indiana University was in trouble with the state legislature. There was a state legislative committee that was looking at the administrative capacity of the state and the needs of the state. And they issued a report that said that the state's universities were not serving the state in preparing state administration. And it said something like and like a little handicapped child, the state will have to limp along and tell the universities do something. And the idea to do something about this was not necessarily widespread among the faculty at Indiana University, but it was widespread in John Ryan. John Ryan was president, and as the dean said, I was his administrative assistant, and his field was public administration, and he was president. He became president of the American Society for Public Administration, and he saw the needs of Indiana, and he knew what it meant to the university. And he was an engine to get this thing going and to make the crucial decisions. But at the same time, there was this effort that the dean referred to about providing a program in interdisciplinary environmental science and policy. And Ryan was really behind that decision to meld these two imperatives, public administration and environmental science and policy. And he had a vision. Yes, the School of Public and Environmental Affairs was going to meet the needs of the state and to help the state grow its capacity to serve the citizens of Indiana. But it was going to do a lot more than that, too. It was going to be a school of national and international impact, too. Now, that was not an idea that a lot of people around here really had themselves or embraced. A lot of people at Indiana University at that time thought this was going to be another little center or institute or that kind of thing, a lot like the efforts that preceded the School of Public and Environmental Affairs. John Ryan had a totally different idea, that this was going to be a large interdisciplinary program that was going to not only play with the big boys on the national level, but was going to lead in this field. He had a big vision there, and he saw to it that right from the beginning that you have to understand, there hadn't been a new school created in Indiana University in like 50 or 60 years. There wasn't a pattern for this, and there wasn't a budget. But Ryan saw to it that SPIA got the resources. And then later on, as we grew, and some of you probably remember this, others probably don't, we started in the Poplars, which had been a hotel. I said it was audacious to start this. This big vision, and here we are in the hotel. Yeah. But he saw to it we got those resources, and then as we grew, we rapidly outgrew anything we could do in the Poplars, and we needed a new building. And he saw to it that we got a new building, which was not an easy sell with the state legislature. But he made that happen as well. And so when the school opened, he saw, President Ryan also saw that this need for public affairs, education, research, and training couldn't be confined to Bloomington. The university had to serve the whole state. So the SPIA opened as the first system-wide school, in all of Indiana University history. And the first year we opened with divisions in Bloomington, Indianapolis, and Gary. Fort Wayne and South Bend followed that. This demonstrated to the legislative leaders and to the political leaders of the state that Indiana University was really serious about serving the needs of the state. And look at what's happened now. At that time, frankly, Purdue was eating our lunch up in the state government. They had Purdue people all the way through state government and in the Legislative Services Agency and that kind of thing. You go up there today, and there are SPIA graduates all over the place. I'm sure John Ryan's smiling about that, particularly the part about eclipsing Purdue. it was audacious also to start this kind of a program in the middle of the country where there weren't such programs and there wasn't a recognition of them and that kind of thing. And there were, shortly after us, there were other programs that tried it too and failed. I don't know how many of you know that they tried to create a SPIA at Purdue University. I mean, I really shouldn't take such pleasure in the fact that 6 years after starting it, the provost cashiered the program. But there were others as well that weren't successful, that were in much better environments to start such a program as well. But we knew that there were opportunities, but there are times, the dean mentioned I was the first faculty member hired, and when we moved, Chuck and I moved into the Poplars, we moved on to the third floor, it was still being operated as a hotel. When we came to work in the morning, there were maids throwing towels and sheets into the hall. And as a brand new assistant professor, I have to tell you, when I was walking down that hall, I was wondering, is there really any staying power to this? But obviously there was. I mean, you're all here, and we've just seen the accomplishments of this. The vision was the right vision, and it's been realized. And I'm sure John Ryan is up there right now smiling about all the things that everybody did over this 50 years to realize that vision. And it took a lot of work by a lot of people who stayed with it. And so really, kudos to all of you to making this happen. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Professor Wise, for everything that you've done for the O'Neill School. Definitely from those humble beginnings, we've grown. We've moved past having a laundry cart in the corridor, though maybe that would be nice sometimes. But we've grown much larger. We now have so between Bloomington and Indianapolis, we have about 3,000 undergraduates, about 750 master's students, and 65 doctoral students. And just a couple of stats for our undergraduates. We have 99% of our undergraduate students are either employed in full or part-time positions or continuing education within 6 months of graduation. 95% of those report that their job relates to their field of study, and 98% of our master's graduates have either moved into a career or continuing their education. So I think that it's the success of everybody in going on to have meaningful and productive lives, which I think is a testament to the quality of the school and the people that work in it, and all of you that help to support it. So. As you look around this venue, you'll see a number of posters and information about many of the accomplishments and accolades of the faculty, and so I won't go through them. But I would also like to thank our past deans. Chuck Bonso, who I mentioned couldn't be with us tonight, but does send his best. I saw him just a couple of weeks ago. We have James Barnes. I don't know if he's here. No, okay. And then also Astrid Merger and John Graham, who is here tonight. Thank you so much for As you heard, it was their vision that it has allowed the O'Neill School to build its reputation. And we're going to continue to look forward to the future in multiple ways. We launched a number of new initiatives. The Next Generation Leadership Program has been a rousing success. We have a couple of hundred students involved in that. That's something that we offer to all of IU, just not only our own students. And our external research funding for fiscal year 2022 was over $8 million. I say our future is bright, and we have great plans for what's to come, actually some quite long-term plans. And on that note, I want to welcome our next guest, Neil Blady, who's going to tell you a little bit more about that. So Neil earned his BS in Public Affairs from the O'Neill School in Bloomington in 2000. and added his MPA in 2008 from IUPUI. He served as an intern for former Senator Evan Bayh, and he took part in the O'Neill Washington Leadership Program. He's former president of our alumni board. He's also currently a member at large for the IU Alumni Association, and he's part of our Distinguished Alumni Council. And in his spare time, Neil is currently legal counsel for Rolls-Royce of North America. Thank you for giving so much to us. And so please welcome Neil Blady.
Thank you, Dean Mooney. Man, I look around this room and this fills me with a lot of pride as an alum, right? What a weekend. It was a lot of fun. And weekends like this don't just happen. So can we give a round of applause to Dean Mooney and the staff for putting all this on? This is incredible. So as the Dean said, I'm here to talk about the O'Neill Future Fund. In 2018, the O'Neill Alumni Board started the O'Neill Future Fund with the goal to raise $50,000 in honor of our 50th anniversary. I'm excited to announce that we have reached that goal earlier this month. This unique fund will remain untouched until O'Neill's 100th anniversary in 2072, where it will grow to roughly $1 million, right? 50,000 compound interest, 1 million, right? Fantastic stuff. At that time, the entire amount will be spent on the most pressing needs for O'Neill. We received 127 individual gifts ranging from $5 to $4,000. So as you can see, no gift is too small, or too large for that matter. So luckily for you, it is not too late to give to the Future Fund. We are keeping the fund open until June. But on behalf of the Alumni Board, I want to thank all of the friends of O'Neill who gave and those who still plan to give. Now I'd like to introduce someone who will hopefully be around to cut the $1 million cake at the 100th anniversary. Sophia Osterberg is an undergraduate majoring in environmental management with minors in law and public policy and Spanish. She graduates in May, and I'm excited to see how she will lead for the greater good.
Hi everyone, my name's Sophia Osterberg and I'm a senior at the O'Neill School. When I was presented with the opportunity to give this speech, my answer was an immediate yes. I couldn't think of anything easier than expressing my appreciation and love for the O'Neill School, its faculty, students, and alumni, and all of you who have contributed to the school over the past 50 years. I came to Indiana University from a small town in Minnesota precisely because of the O'Neill School. The environmental management major immediately caught my attention, not only for its nationally ranked program, but for its perfect mixture of the hard sciences and the human connections of policymaking and government processes. O'Neill was everything I wanted in a school. Its unique public affairs coursework, robust alumni network, outstanding faculty, and most importantly, O'Neill's mission of civic leadership and public service are unmatched. Now, as I'm approaching the halfway point of my senior year, it's safe to say that I have no regrets about my decision, and I haven't looked back since entering O'Neill's doors 3 years ago. Since joining the O'Neill student body, I've been presented with countless opportunities to grow. First, the Civic Leaders Living Learning Community, the O'Neill residential group of freshmen, welcomed me with open arms to campus and the O'Neill community. With the Civic Leaders Center led by Professor Paul Helmke, I traveled to Washington, D.C. for the first time and had the chance to study abroad in Greece. In the Civic Leaders community, I met my best friends, and we have continued to travel the country and navigate all 4 years of college together. We even have made it a point to spend every homecoming together, something that Paul Helmke likes to join us in the tailgate fields for. O'Neill opened doors to leadership positions to improve my ability of being a public servant. I've been a member of Women in Government, an intern at the Integrated Program of the Environment through the Indiana Leadership Program, and a 4-term representative on the O'Neill Undergraduate Student Council, a position that allows me to serve as the liaison between O'Neill students and Dean Mooney, exemplifying how much our administration values student voices. The most formative experience at the O'Neill School was participating in the Washington Leadership Program. Through the program, I lived in our nation's capital, taking classes from Professor Donna McLean, while interning at the U.S. Department of State as a policy intern in the Bureau of International Environmental Affairs. When the Washington Leadership semester ended, I realized I had come to love the city too much to leave just yet, and using the knowledge I gained from Professor McLean, I secured a summer internship on Capitol Hill. Living, working, and learning in DC cultivated and confirmed my drive to work alongside other public servants to create the next generation leading this country. My education and these experiences would not have been possible without the financial support of scholarships and awards from our donors and our administration. As an out-of-state student, financial aid from O'Neill allowed me to choose the path that I truly wanted, to go to Indiana University. Once on campus, scholarships became more than a financial benefit. The generous gifts helped ease my worries of balancing work and school. They allowed me to interact with student organizations across campus and fully engage in my curriculum at O'Neill. Additionally, scholarships funded not just tuition and credit hours, but they supported experiences. Awards such as the James A. Barnes Scholarship allowed me to take an unpaid summer internship in DC and fulfill my dream of working in public service. My internship experience and involvement on campus have been invaluable for my career, and I am forever grateful to the scholarships from O'Neill for supporting me. Now, as I look forward to my future post-graduation in May, I aspire to be in a position where I can lead for the greater good, no matter how big or how small that might be. To be leading for the greater good is more than just a motto, it's a career goal. My ambition is to join our phenomenal alumni network to solve our world's problems with a sustainable, service-oriented approach. I am eager to embark upon my next adventure, but I will always have the O'Neill School and each of you to thank for preparing me for what lies ahead. It is very special to play a role in 4 of the 50 years of this school, and I'm really looking forward to see what lies ahead for the students of the next 50 years. Thank you.
Sophia, thanks very much. It was great to hear your passion, and I can't wait to see what you're going to do when you leave here. We're looking forward to seeing what you do in the future. So 50 years feels like a lot of time, but we all know it can just go by in the blink of an eye. Our first 50 years have set the standard for what we can achieve, and I'm just really intrigued to see what we're going to do in the next 50 years. I think we can just build from strength to strength. We have so much promise, so much ability to affect society in a positive way, both domestically and internationally. So I encourage all of you to consider providing support to the O'Neill Alumni Association Scholarship Fund to help the next generation of leaders as they build on what we've done so far. It's incredibly meaningful to our students, and as you heard from Sophia. So I'm going to finish with just saying we're very proud to celebrate our 50th year. There's so much to look back on, so many wonderful accomplishments, and it couldn't have been achieved without each and every single one of you. So with that, let me please close with just thanking all of the staff and faculty that made this event happen. There were so many names. I actually started to write them out, and then I decided it was going to be kind of like a movie scrolling list. And so I'm just going to thank large groups, but particularly our events planners. Thank you so much. Our development and alumni group, thank you so much. Marketing and communications, thank you so much. And all of the faculty and staff that took today to provide to, and students actually, sorry, I shouldn't forget the students, that took the day to do tours around campus and to interact with everyone, and particularly to everyone that came here from out of town, whether it's near or far, to come and celebrate with us. We are just delighted to have this day with you, and I hope that you have a really wonderful evening.